I have eaten a lot of orange chicken over my lifetime, and this is hands down the most delicious and satisfying version that I have ever tasted. Words do not adequately describe the incredibly sweet and tangy orange flavor in my healthy, gluten-free orange chicken recipe. The orange sauce is naturally sweetened with honey and infused with flavor from fresh ginger, garlic, and rice vinegar. The chicken coating is made gluten-free with tapioca flour, an egg wash, and seasoned almond flour. Then it's quickly pan-seared, not deep fried, in light olive oil, which makes it crispy on the outside and juicy and tender on the inside. You do not have to settle for a restaurant orange chicken that is dry, overly battered, deep fried, and heartburn-inducing. You're gonna feel amazing eating my orange chicken, and you will be so proud of yourself for making such an impressive dish that is easy to make. We're gonna start by making our orange sauce. Now you can either use store-bought orange juice or you can squeeze your own, but we want to zest it first before we squeeze out the juice. So I'm just gonna take my zesting grater and zest one orange. And this is going to really enhance that delicious citrus flavor in our sauce. And we can use it to garnish the top. Zesting one orange will give us about 2 tablespoons of orange zest. We're gonna use 1 tablespoon in our sauce, and then we're gonna save the other tablespoon for later. Now we can cut our orange in half and juice it. And 1 medium orange will give you about 1/3 cup of juice, so we're gonna juice 2 oranges. Now that we have 2/3 cup of orange juice, we're gonna add the rest of our sauce ingredients, which includes 1/3 cup of rice vinegar, 1/3 cup of honey. I'll make sure we get all of that out of the bowl. 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, 1 tablespoon of our orange zest. Now we're going to add some fresh garlic. And I've got 2 cloves here that I've already crushed. And I'll just crush this 3rd clove using my stainless steel garlic press. Just makes it super easy. If you don't have fresh garlic, you can add a teaspoon of garlic powder. And then to help thicken our sauce, we'll add 1 tablespoon of tapioca flour. To get that distinctive orange chicken flavor, we want to add some ginger. Now you can use 1/2 teaspoon of powdered ginger, or if you have access to fresh ginger, it will take this flavor to another level. So I'm just gonna take my grater here with some fresh ginger, and then I'm going to grate about a teaspoon worth. And we'll just dump in about a teaspoon of our fresh ginger. Man, that smells incredible. And then finally, we're going to add 1 teaspoon of salt and a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. And we'll go ahead and mix these together. Well, that aroma is amazing. We can go ahead and set this aside. Next, we'll need 12 ounces of chicken, and you could use chicken tenders, or you could use 3 medium-sized chicken breasts or 2 large chicken breasts like I have. I've already cleaned off the fatty pieces, and then I'm just gonna start cutting them into strips, and then taking each strip and just cutting them crosswise into some bite-sized pieces. And you'll want to cut your chicken pieces as uniformly in size as you can, because then they'll cook more evenly. It doesn't have to be exact, so just do your best to eyeball it. Now that our chicken pieces are cut, we'll set these aside while we prepare our batter. To prepare our batter assembly line, you'll need 3 bowls. In our first bowl, we're gonna add 1/2 cup of tapioca flour. This is going to coat our chicken and make it extra sticky before it goes into our egg wash. In our second bowl, we're gonna crack 2 eggs. Then we'll simply whisk our eggs until they're well combined. And then in our third bowl, we're gonna add 1.5 cups almond flour plus 2 teaspoons of salt and a 1/2 teaspoon pepper. And then we'll just give that a good toss. And then I have a tray to put the chicken on once it's been coated. So we'll start by dumping a handful of our chicken bits into our flour, and then we'll just go through and mix those around. And we'll take them one at a time, just kind of shake them off and drop them into our egg mixture. And that gives us a chance to make sure they're completely coated. Then you can just use a spoon to coat them in the egg mixture. Now we'll lift them up one at a time to shake off any extra egg, and then drop them right into our almond flour. And then we can toss them in our flour mixture until they're well coated. And then with my less goopy hand, I'll take them one at a time, making sure they're coated, and then just transfer them to my sheet. And then you'll just repeat the process for the remainder of your chicken. Now that our chicken is all battered, we can pan-sear it. Now our strategy with the chicken is wanting to get a really nice crust around the outside, and then cooking it just until it's done on the inside. So we're gonna do that by using a cast iron frying pan or any heavy bottom pan. We're gonna bring it to high heat with just a thin layer of olive oil. We're going to sear both sides of the chicken to get some color on them, and then cook them just until they reach 165 degrees on the inside. Then we'll take them out of our pan and let them rest for about 10 minutes. And that will ensure the juiciest chicken with a delicious crust on the outside. I've turned my heat to high and my pan is nice and hot. So now I'm going to pour in a couple tablespoons of light olive oil just until the whole pan is coated. I'll very carefully tilt my pan just to make sure the oil is well distributed. And now I'll begin laying in my chicken. I'm going to start at about 9 o'clock and then go in a clockwise pattern, because then I'll know which ones need to be flipped first. You can hear that sizzle, which means our pan is nice and hot and that our chicken is going to start cooking instantly in our oil. And then we'll just let these sit and cook for a couple minutes until they start to brown on the bottom. Now you can tell my pan is a little uneven because the oil is a little bit deeper on this side than it is this side. So even though this chicken went in first, it's possible these are going to cook a little bit quicker. I'm going to go ahead and take a peek underneath. And you can see it's already starting to brown, so we're going to give that just a few more seconds to get a little more color on it. And they're a little bit more brown than the ones I started with. All right, well that's nice and brown, so I'm going to start flipping these over so we can get some color on the other side. I'm just going to check them one at a time, making sure that they're ready. Now that I've flipped most of these, we want to start checking the internal temperature. And as soon as they hit 165, we want to get them out of the pan. So this one's at 170. I'm going to start taking those out and just putting them onto a plate. And this is where your meat thermometer really comes in handy. Just pulling them out as soon as they reach 165 really is the secret to having very juicy chicken. I was only able to fit half of my chicken, so I can go ahead and pour some more oil into my pan, and then I'll repeat with the second half. All right, well, all of our chicken is cooked, and I've transferred it to this plate where it can sit and rest and really soak and lock in all of those juices. So now we want to turn our heat down to medium-high. Then we're going to take our sauce and give it a quick mix. And then we will very slowly and carefully pour it into our pan. Now we're going to take a spatula and just kind of stir in our pan, and it will pick up all those delicious drippings that are in the bottom. And then we're just going to let our sauce simmer for a few minutes until it starts to thicken. And I love that we can cook the chicken and the sauce in one pan. Now some recipes will have you put your breaded chicken back into the pan while the sauce is cooking, but I find that that just softens the crust on your chicken. So I prefer to let the sauce thicken on its own, and then we'll add the chicken at the last minute. And you can judge the thickness of your sauce by how quickly it runs back together when you run your spatula through it. It's been simmering for about 5 to 7 minutes, and I think that looks great. So now I'm going to take my chicken and very carefully drop it into the sauce. Look at all that gorgeous color that we have on our chicken, which equals flavor. And then I'll very carefully flip the chicken over so it gets well coated in that delicious orange honey sauce. Now that our chicken is well coated in our sauce, I'll go ahead and let that simmer for about another minute or two just to really infuse that flavor. And then this orange chicken is ready to serve. Well, there are a few things I find in life that aren't as satisfying as a fresh batch of orange chicken. That looks incredible. And one of my favorite ways to enjoy it is over some brown rice, and then with a juicy piece of chicken, with a little bit of sauce over the top. And then as a delicious and aesthetic garnish, we can go ahead and just diagonally cut some green onions and sprinkle those over the top, as well as a little bit of our orange zest, and sprinkle on a few sesame seeds. And then get prepared for wow. That is unbelievable. As soon as I bite into that soft chicken, I just get this burst of these sweet and savory, tangy flavors. And then I get bursts of that fresh ginger and the fresh garlic, and then the soft, flavorful breading from the almond flour. It just adds the perfect texture around the chicken, and it's not hard and crunchy like some deep fried orange chicken can be. And it has the perfect amount of sweetness without tasting like caramelized candy and garlic. It's emotionally satisfying because it's a classic orange chicken that we all love, but it's also physically satisfying because they're made with clean ingredients that aren't deep fried that will leave you feeling great afterwards. But I must warn you of the consequences of discovering that you can make restaurant quality orange chicken at home. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with me to make one of my favorite dishes. And I've included a link in the video description below to the full recipe, and it's on my website, gentletummy.com. And I also invite you to like and subscribe to my channel. And if you know someone else who you think would love this recipe, please share this video with them. And I cannot wait to have you with me again in my kitchen next time.